What is going on, everybody? It's Brendan Abbott coming to you with KBR Sports, the best sports podcast of your 24-hour day. Just wanted to touch base with everybody since it's been a while since I've been able to have a chance to record with y'all. And last time I actually recorded was right before we had both championships in the NHL and in the NBA. So congratulations to the Washington Capitals on their first championship in franchise history, as well as with the Golden State Warriors winning their third championship in 4 years. And big achievement for both franchises, and just a momentous occasion that I'm actually super bummed about, in the fact that I cannot be there in Washington, D.C., at least in the Virginia area, to be able to celebrate with friends and everybody there, just because of the fact that it's just cool when you live in an area and you see what a championship does for that area. It makes everybody becomes just closer together. Everybody's celebrating in one big unifying matter. And for that point in time, things like race, religion, politics, the whole nine don't matter. You're just excited about your sports team winning, and it's just an awesome event and cool feeling. So I just wish I was there to be able to celebrate it with everybody, but I'm living vicariously through everybody through social media, so I guess I can do that definitely to the utmost degree. And then when it comes to the Warriors, definitely they deserve their congratulations. Probably the franchise of this generation so far that we've seen. I know a lot of people say the Spurs or whatnot in that conversation, in which they are, but the Spurs never actually won a title back-to-back, and it was one of those situations where the Spurs normally would win titles every other year or so up until about 2007. Then they didn't win another one until 2014 against LeBron's team. So they were just more so sustained excellence, whereas this Warriors team, within this point of time, they've been the best basketball franchise in this 4-year span. So definitely tip your cap off to the Warriors and what they were able to accomplish, and Kevin Durant obviously winning the finals MVP. And then even credit to, I didn't acknowledge the fact that Alexander Ovechkin winning the Conn Smythe for the Stanley Cup championship. So credit to both players and franchises and everything that they were able to pull off. But you already know, if you ever wanted a central location where you can find all Brendan Abbott content, you can find it on my new website, BrendanAbbott.com, and that's spelled BrendanAbban.com, which has episodes of the podcast, my blog, and other content you can only find on BrendanAbban.com. So make sure you go check it out. And also follow and subscribe to the KBR Sports Podcast on Rabble TV, Spreaker, SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. That way you will receive notifications whenever the KBR Sports Podcast is streaming live or when a new episode is posted. And also follow the KBR Sports Podcast on Twitter at KBR_sports, where links, topics, and podcast updates are tweeted. And finally, make sure you comment, like, and share your favorite KBR Sports episodes to give your opinions on any topic and to show your support for the show, which I always appreciate, y'all. So just before I get everything kicked off, just wanted to give credit to all the championship teams like I did. You all heard me do. But I also wanted to kind of touch on the fact that I hope that we're not in an era of sports where now it seems like in order to elevate anybody's greatness, we have to undermine another person's greatness. Because I feel like we're getting to that point in sports, and it's really starting to become kind of sad, because particularly in the NBA, I feel like we're reaching a point where the social media conversation, particularly when it surrounds Michael Jordan and LeBron James, anytime we have to talk about these players, it's always, we're just going to bash another guy just to uplift another guy. And it's particularly when people throw Kobe's name into the hat, it always turns into let's bash Kobe. Oh, Kobe doesn't even deserve to be in this discussion. Kobe's just trying to force his way in. And it just becomes this whole thing where people start to devalue Kobe Bryant. And I'm not here for that. I'm not there. Like, for me, so many people, if you play ball, if you watch the games and everything, like, you know how good of a player Kobe was. While the statistics might not bear out entirely the skill and the ability Kobe had while playing, just if you were able, that's where it separates from just being a statistics geek and an actual watcher and having a knowledge of the game of basketball to know how good Kobe Bryant was. So that's one of those things I just can't stand. And particularly with recent news, which is what my main topic of this podcast is going to be today, in which Kobe Bryant came out recently in a Bleacher Report article in which him and a panelist of other players like Isaiah Thomas, the two-time champion Chauncey Billups, Finals MVP from 04, Paul Pierce, Grant Hill, Vince Carter, Jalen Rose, Dennis Scott, and John Barry. And in that panel, they were getting asked questions about LeBron James. Kobe's answers to some of these questions have been made into topics on shows, radio shows, debate shows recently, and a lot of what the social media reaction has been that people feel are making it seem as though, well, Kobe's just salty that he's not the one that's in the center of the conversation between who's better, him or Mike, or who's better, him or LeBron. Like, when did he wants to be put in that conversation? And while I'm not doubting the fact that I believe Kobe wants to be in that conversation for sure, it's one of those things that it's sad that we're at a point where we're like, oh yeah, Kobe wants to be in that conversation, but we're not putting him, like, it's not, the greatest of all time discussion is not just a thing between Michael and LeBron. If you think that is, that's just pretty sad. Now, there's a guy that I know by the name of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar that definitely deserves to be in that conversation in my book. There's a guy named Magic Johnson that deserves to be in a conversation in my book. There's plenty of players you could have that honest debate about for greatest of all time. If you even ask older players, they will tell you, they don't just assume Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time. They think some guys like a Wilt, a Kareem, other guys are the best of all time. So that notion that Kobe just doesn't even deserve to be in the discussion is illogical. Now, I do think Michael is better than Kobe, but this does not even have the discussion. It is what puzzles me a lot. So in the panel, I see Kobe. I'm going to read the question that Kobe was asked, and the answer Kobe got. I feel like Kobe was getting flack for both his answers to both questions he got. So this is the question that he was asked. LeBron has 3 rings. He's been to more finals than any player in modern times, but he's 3-6 after this series. Does that matter to his legacy? This is what Kobe had to say. All I thought about as a kid personally was winning championships. That's all I cared about. That's how I valued Michael. That's how I valued Bird. That's how I valued Magic. It's just winning championships. Now, everybody's going to value things differently, which is fine. I'm just telling you how I value mine. If I'm Bron, you got to figure out a way to win. It's not about a narrative. You want to win championships. You just got to figure it out. And in that essence of what Kobe is saying, it's just that is what he valued the most in his career, was championships. I mean, and it's shown that he was so relentless about his drive to win. Every year mattered so much to him, particularly in how he could win championships, and he wanted to be at his best doing that while winning the championships. And you could tell that he was chasing Michael's 6 championships. And coming to the later years of Kobe's career, that became what the conversation was about with Kobe Bryant. Everybody knew that he wanted to at least tie Michael Jordan in having 6 championships. It even got to a point where I think when the Lakers roster was so bad, people were like, well, will Kobe contemplate leaving the Lakers to try and go to another team to try and win another ring just so he can tie Michael? And Kobe said, no, I'm a Laker lifer. I'd rather just finish my career out as a Laker without getting the 6th ring than just jump ship and go get one somewhere else. And so I think he's saying in the case of LeBron, if LeBron wants to just care about championships, that he shouldn't care about a narrative. And what that pretty much means is that LeBron spends a lot of time in his a lot of LeBron's career has been made up of is him trying to work narratives, or people working narratives around him, or narratives being shaped around him. And I think when Kobe's saying this, he's pretty much saying like, hey, if you want to go to some place and win a championship, this is my opinion. You want to go somewhere and win a championship, go. Don't let what narratives people will say about you, how they're trying to undermine whatever you did or whatever. Just go somewhere if you want to go and you think that's the best chance you have to win a championship. If that's what it's all about for you, you got to go and do that. You know what I mean? Because that's just, if you want to go to Houston and you think that's the best chance to win a championship, then go. Don't worry about the narrative of if I leave Cleveland, I'm going to be seen as a ring chaser, or I'm going to be seen as the guy that left Cleveland again. I'm not going to be synonymous. Forget all that. If you want to go win. Do that. That's how I took Kobe's advice in that particular statement. Now, I think the one he's been getting a lot of flack for is this one. How should we weigh a star supporting cast? Does LeBron get credit for carrying Jordan Clarkson and J.R. Smith this far, or penalized for losing with them? We saw how the role players blew game 1 of the series, and that was the question. Now, this was Kobe's answer. Michael gave me some really good advice after the 2008 finals. You got all the tools. You got to figure out how to get these guys to that next level to win that championship. Going into the 2010 series, I said, listen, Boston, they got Ray Allen, they got Paul Pierce, they got Garnett, they got Rasheed Wallace. The talent is there. They're stacked. That was the first super team. Michael kind of heard me lament about it, and he just goes, yeah, well, it is what it is. You got to figure it out. There's no other alternative. And that's the challenge LeBron has. You have pieces with that you have to try and figure out how to work with. Excuses don't work right now. It has everything to do with how you build a team from an emotional level. How do you motivate them? Leadership is not making guys better by just throwing them the ball. That's not what it is. It's about the influence that you have on them to reach their full potential. And some of it's not pretty, some of it's challenging, some of it's confrontational, some of it's a pat on the back. But if it's finding that balance, so now when you show up to play at Golden State or at Boston, your guys feel like you have the confidence to take on more. And I see some people trying to are shaping this in the wrong light in terms of how they're framing this for Kobe Bryant. And it's one of those things, in my opinion, I'm like, well, what is he supposed to say? Is he supposed to say, LeBron, yeah, your teammates aren't good, so just pack in the bag and mail it home? No, you just like Michael didn't have any sympathy for Kobe. He said, I mean, it is what it is. You got to do what you got to do. You got to figure it out. You got to do what you got to do to try and get the win. That's what you're doing. And when he says that, you got to do more than just throwing them the ball, that means more than just essentially what a lot of people illustrate as LeBron facilitating and just creating open shots for guys. Yeah, that's great and all. Yeah, you're getting guys open. But if they don't have the confidence that you're supposed to build in them to knock down the shots, they're not going to knock down the shots. So now, granted, that's not all on LeBron. The guys have to show up and also give him their support too. But like Kobe and Mike told Kobe, you got to figure it out. Now, I'm not saying obviously Golden State was the better team in this scenario. Golden State is better than that Boston team was. But people are making it seem like Kobe's trying to put Boston on par with Golden State. That's not what he's trying to do. He's trying to say when he faced prolific team and what he went up against, that's the result. That's how much of a behemoth he felt like he was going up against. And for people that try to undermine how good that Boston team was, let's all remember here, that Boston team is essentially what kept LeBron out, essentially what led to him leaving to go to Miami because he knew he wasn't going to get over that hurdle. They won that first championship against Kobe and the squad. Then Kevin Garnett was hurt the next year when Dwight Howard and the Orlando Magic went to the finals. Then the year after that Boston team went back to the finals and lost to Kobe and the Lakers in 7 games. So let's not rework history and forget how good that Boston team was. I've heard some people try to do that. And if it wasn't for LeBron going to Miami, even that Miami team LeBron went to, they were down 3-2, and LeBron went off berserk on that team in Game 6, and they won in 7 games. And so let's not try and forget how good that Boston team was. That's the team that essentially formed the free agent era for LeBron James having to go to Miami to try and win a ring. Okay, so when Kobe's giving his analysis on this Warriors team, he's pretty much saying that, hey, yeah, LeBron creates open shots for guys, and guys are going to get open and everything like that, but you have to instill that confidence in them that they have the confidence to knock down the shots. Because when you have a situation like the end of Game 1, when you see the huddle footage and you see LeBron kind of sulking and being upset after he finds out they had a timeout, obviously anybody's going to be crushed by that situation. But who believes that after that situation, how many guys in that huddle are going to raise their hand and believe they can win that game? If you're a leader, your best player is acting like he's been crushed by the result of what happened in that game, and it's not like you didn't have that opportunity. If you would have asked LeBron James before that game, hey, you have a chance to go to overtime and try and beat the Golden State Warriors in just 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes to try and beat the Golden State Warriors. Will you take it? Obviously, he'll say yes. So J.R. Smith might have goofed away one possession to try and win the game, but he also sealed a possession away from the Warriors by getting an offensive rebound and not letting them beat you in regulation. So it's one of those things that it's a demoralizing play just because of the fact that George Hill also missed a free throw. So it's just like an anemic thing. Then you can find out your coach didn't call the timeout, or if you didn't know you had the timeout, it's like it is a mind blower. But as a leader, especially when everybody was putting their hands together in the huddle, and then LeBron was kind of reluctant on that standpoint, that's one of those things that's not uplifting to your guys. You know what I mean? That's one of those things that I feel like I know it's like the narrative and this one of the things that Kobe's saying, don't care about narratives. The narrative has been the whole way LeBron's carrying this sorry sack of guys, and it's like that he has that kind of reaction because then you're like, and then you hear him saying in the post-game press conference, well, how much more uplifting of my teammates do you want me to do? And there's more uplifting of your teammates than just creating open shots for them. That's easy. Russell Westbrook does that. Now, obviously, we all know there's a different kind of leadership between Russell Westbrook and LeBron James. And that's because LeBron leads in a certain manner that makes the guys be confident in the fact that he's going to be able to knock down the shots. He creates a certain brand of shots that are more conductive, that uplift guys. But there were times in the NBA Finals you could question that leadership of LeBron James. So it's one of those situations where I think that's where you see Kobe Bryant's coming from the standpoint of, hey, look, I think you can't just throw in the towel. You got to really put in all your chips into the basket and put in that effort to try and make your teammates better, because even though it might seem like obviously you feel like you're going to lose the series, you don't just give out that kind of aura to the rest of your teammates, because then how the heck are they going to perform in a manner that they believe they're going to win the series at all? So that's where I felt like Kobe Bryant was coming from with that statement. But all right, everybody, if you ever wanted a central location where you can find all Brandon Abbin content, you can find it at my new website, BrandonAbbin.com, which has episodes of the podcast, my blog, and other content you can only find on BrandonAbbin.com. So make sure you go check it out. But also, follow and subscribe to the KBR Sports Podcast on Rabble TV, Spreaker, SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. That way you'll receive notifications whenever the KBR Sports Podcast is streaming live or when a new episode is posted. And also follow the KBR Sports Podcast on Twitter at KBR_sports, where links, topics, and podcast updates are tweeted. And finally, and most importantly, make sure you comment, like, and share your favorite KBR Sports episodes to give your opinions on any topic and to show your support for the show, which is always appreciated. So y'all definitely make sure, comment, let me know what you think of Kobe's comments. What do you think LeBron could have done better? Do you think Kobe is kind of being hypocritical from what he's saying? Let me know that in the comment section, y'all. I want to definitely hear you guys' thoughts on this. And if anything, make sure you guys always give your feedback. Share the KBR Sports Podcast so other people can get hit to the podcast, your favorite podcast of the 24-hour day. All right, y'all, I am out.